Hi everyone, I hope you're doing good. This week we're going to be talking about lessons 105 to 108. So let's get started. This week you're going to need the lessons manual, the student worksheet book, the math card games manual with the game cards, a geared clock, the 4-in-1 ruler, and centimeter cubes. This week, your child is going to continue working with area and perimeter. They will also have a review lesson. Let's get started by turning to lesson 105. First of all, congratulations. You are now 3/4 of the way through level D, so keep on going strong. Now, the first part of the warm-up is going to have your child work through the top section of worksheet 85. The last part of the warm-up is going to have your child read various times off of the geared clock. Look at the section called Measuring Centimeters. You're going to start this section off by giving your child the 4-in-1 ruler and 8 centimeter cubes. And then you're going to line up these 8 centimeter cubes and then measure them with the centimeter side of the 4-in-1 ruler. And of course, it's going to measure 8 centimeters. In the section at the bottom of the page called Drawing a Rectangle, your child is going to get out their math journal page, and they're going to draw a rectangle that is 12 centimeters by 8 centimeters. Now, just so you know, each one of these squares is 1 centimeter long and 1 centimeter high. So your child can easily draw 12 by 8 rectangle. Then your child is going to calculate the area of a rectangle by multiplying the 12 times 8. Remember, area is base times height. Now, when they're calculating that area, there is an easier way. If your child has forgotten all the little tricks and tips on doing multiplication, there is an easier way to solve 12 times 8 by splitting the 12 up into two easier multiplication problems. Let me show you what I mean. So we have the multiplication problem of 12 times 8, but 12 can be split up between 10 and 2. 10 plus 2 equals 12, right? So we can do the 10 times 8 equals 80, and we can also do 2 times 8 equals 16. Now we add those two totals up, 80 plus 16, and we're given 96, which is the measurement of the area of this rectangle. Then your child is going to calculate the perimeter. Now remember, perimeter means, or peri means around, and meter means measure. So perimeter means the measurement around. Make sure you're reminding your child of that definition if they struggle at all with remembering which measurement is which is inside and which is around. So perimeter, peri means around, meter means measure. You want them to get to the place where whenever they see the word perimeter, they're thinking around. Then they're going to calculate the perimeter in two different ways, and both ways are shown in the lesson manual. One is by adding those numbers together, and one is multiplying. Then you're going to have your child complete the worksheet. Make sure you go over their answers with them, and then go over anything that they got wrong by asking questions, not telling them what they need to do, but ask questions how to guide them to how to get to the correct answer. The math card game suggested for this lesson is Corners, which you have played previously. If your child, though, is still learning their multiplication math facts, make sure you play a multiplication math card game and keep plugging away on those multiplication math facts. Well, let's go ahead and turn to lesson 106. The first top of this lesson, or the first part of this lesson, is having your child do the top part of worksheet 86. And then the last part of the warm-up is having your child read various times on the geared clock. Then you're going to give your child worksheet 82. On this worksheet, your child is going to draw squares and find the perimeter and area of those squares. So let me walk you through the first couple of squares to show you how it works. So this is part of their worksheet. This is where they're going to draw the squares, and this is the chart that they're going to fill in. The P stands for perimeter, and the A stands for area. Now, the worksheet has one done for you already. So this is 1 square by 1 square. Measurement of 1. So we're going to come over here. This is the measurement of 1. Now, perimeter. How do we calculate perimeter? Perimeter means measurement around. So we're going to measure it around. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the perimeter is 4, and the area is 1, because 1 times 1 equals 1. All right, well, let's do the next one. the next thing your child is going to do is draw the next largest square, which is 2 by 2. So here we have a square, 2 by 2. 2, 4, 6, 8 is the perimeter. So you're going to put an 8 in the perimeter. And then 2 times 2 is 4. So you're going to put 4 in as the area. You will have your child continue through that, drawing larger and larger and larger squares until you complete this chart. Now look at the lesson manual and notice the numbers in the area column. You have 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and so forth. Do they look familiar to you? Well, these are squared numbers. So if I have 1 squared, that is 1. 2 squared is 4. 3 squared is 9, and etc. Now, this is a subtle introduction into squares and square roots. Now, in the section called patterns, you will discuss these patterns that they've calculated in the chart. So your child will need to have the chart available, and you're just going to ask different questions, pull some of that information out. Now you're going to need this worksheet for lesson 107, so make sure you keep that handy. Now the math card game listed for this lesson is 0 columns. If your child is still working on their multiplication math facts, though, include another multiplication math card game as well. Well, let's turn to lesson 107. If your lesson manual was printed in 2016 or before, there is a correction for this lesson. Also, if you purchased electronic worksheets in 2016 or before, there's also a correction for worksheet 87. Make sure you make those changes before you start teaching this lesson. Now, this is an enrichment lesson. It's a great lesson to review and work on graphing. However, if you are behind, this is one of those lessons that can be skipped without your child losing continuity or flow in their education. Now, your child is going to work through worksheet 87, and they're going to use worksheet 86 as their data to complete the graphs on worksheet 87. Now, before your child gets started, you're going to review with your child how to fill in a graph. So, and here's the graphs. Now, you're also going to want to make sure your child notices the scale on each of these graphs. So here is the perimeter graph. Take a look at the scale. This one is divided up into 5s. You have 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and so forth. This is going to be the graph for area. Now this scale is broken up into 10, 0, 10, 20, 30, and 40. So your child is going to need to have that information when they're filling in the graph. They're going to have to pay attention to those numbers. Now, for the worksheet 86, if you'll look at that one, the first square for square 1, you'll see that the perimeter is 4 and the area is 1. Now, because 4 is not listed on this scale, the child needs to determine where to put that. Well, the 4 is just under that 5, right? So here is where their bar is going to go to. Now for area, 1 times 1 equals 1. So the area is 1. So how high do they need to make that bar? Well, they need to go up 1, but this is a whole 10. So we're going to be really, really tight on that 0. So the solutions to the graph is included in the lesson manual on the second page of the lesson manual. So you can see kind of where those fall. Also note the area graph does not have any titles. Let me show you. There are no titles here. So your child is going to need to write in some appropriate titles for those graphs. On the top of the second page of the lesson, your child is going to then compare those two graphs, the bars on those two graphs, and see what happens between the area and perimeter as they get larger. Now you're going to ask them some questions at the bottom of the second page of the lesson that's kind of going to guide them through seeing those comparisons. Now, the math card game listed for this lesson is called Crazy Squares Game, and we do have a blog for this game. It's called Winter Games Crazy Squares. Well, let's go ahead and turn to lesson 108. This is a review lesson. As always, give your child only one of the two worksheets, either worksheet 88A or 88B. Now, for any question that your child misses on this review sheet, you're going to want to ask them how they got their answer. If you find out that they made just like a silly mistake, go ahead and move on to the next lesson. However, if you find that your child is not understanding a concept, you're going to want to go back and review the lesson or lessons or sections of lessons that cover the topic that they need. As always, I'm going to give you the lessons that you can review for each question. For problem 1, which is 700 times 9, you can review lessons 19, 61, and 62. For problem 2, which is 1/2 of 42, we're going to really focus more on the concept of 1/2. And you can do that by reviewing lessons 67, 73, 74, or you can play a math card game called Fraction of 12. For problem 3, which is 49 divided by 7, play some math card games to work on the multiples of 7. For problem 4, which is 52 minus something equals 36 or equals 37, review lessons 7, 8, 9, or play a math card game to practice those math facts. For problem 5, which is 72 divided by 8, play some math card games to work on those multiples of 8. For problem 6, which is 42 times 10, take a look at lessons 61 and 62. For problem 7, which is the clock, review lesson 97. For problem 8, which is 5,678 times 7, review lessons 63 and 64 for the multiplication portion, or review lesson 65 for check numbers if they were having difficulties with that, or you can play math card games to review the multiple of 7. For problems 9 and 10, which is having your child draw squares in centimeters and inches, you can review lessons 102, 105, and 106. Also, take a look at the explanation section to the right of that. It says the square centimeter and square inch are drawn in actual size in your lesson manual. So all you need to do is put your child's worksheet over top of there and compare the sizes, and they should be exact or pretty close to. Problem 11, which is the perimeter and area questions, review lessons 102, 103, 105, and 106. For problem 12, which is the first word problem, review lessons 97, 98, and 99. For problem 13, which is the second word problem, review lesson 35, or you can play games to work on the multiples of 3. The math card game for this lesson is Equal Quotients Game, and we do have a blog for that game. It's called 2020 Summer Game 13, number 13, Equal Quotients. Again, if your child is still learning their multiplication math facts, add another game to keep practicing those math facts and get those down. Well, that's it for the week. If you have any questions or concerns about a lesson, or if your child is struggling with something, give us a call or email us. We're here to help. I look forward to seeing you next week as we work on lessons 109 to 112. Keep plugging away. Keep doing the good work. We are getting through this. Keep working ahead. Have a great week, everybody.